So we're here. We're ready to do a preview for the Week 1 matchup between the Indianapolis Colts and the Jacksonville Jaguars. You have a brand new era in Indianapolis with the number 4th overall pick, Anthony Richardson, set to make his official NFL debut, and a brand new head coach in Shane Steichen coming from Philadelphia, who are the Super Bowl runner-ups. I'm excited. Shane Steichen has worked with a lot of good quarterbacks, has helped a lot of quarterbacks develop into very good talents. Really helped Jalen Hurts take the next step of his career last year, ultimately helping him get a big-time paycheck. He was, he was a quarterback coach for Justin Herbert when he won Offensive Rookie of the Year, so he has experience working with some great quarterbacks. He knows what it looks like to get a quarterback playing. He knows how to get a quarterback playing at the top of his game. And on the other side, you have a hungry Trevor Lawrence and Jacksonville Jaguars team who is looking... they are looking to have a big-time year this year. They went to the playoffs last year. They got their feet, won a wild card matchup, which was incredible. It was a big-time comeback over the Chargers. And when Trevor Lawrence is good, man, he's very good. But when he is bad, he's pretty bad. He needs to find some consistency. But first thing I want to get at here is, how is our secondary going to do? How is our defense as a whole going to play against this Jaguars offense? So, as we know, our secondary is very inexperienced. Julius Brents, Darius Rush isn't even on the team. Come on. You have DeLis Flowers, Julius Brents are both starting. Darrell Baker, you have Kenny Moore in the slot. So, other than the slot and a couple of guys up at safety, and Julian Blackmon, Ronnie Thomas, Nick Cross didn't play a lot last year. He was very raw. Now, it seems like Nick Cross is going to get a lot more time this year. Could maybe make a big-time play in this game, which would be nice. But for the Colts to really have a shot in this game, the secondary is going to have to come to play. The games that they've ever played in their lives, because you're playing a Trevor Lawrence-led team. And when Trevor Lawrence is good, he's very good. He's always been very good against the Colts. So, he's had better games against the Colts when they've had much better secondaries. And, whether it was Xavier Rhodes and Isaiah Rodgers or Stephon Gilmore and Isaiah Rodgers. Now you have none of those guys. You have basically no experience. Can Julius Brents, Jalen Jones, DeLis Flowers, Darrell Baker, who is going to step up on the boundary? Because we know Kenny Moore is a slot guy. He's inconsistent as it is in the slot, but he's not really a boundary corner. But we have to see someone step up in this game if we want a shot at getting any kind of stop versus Trevor Lawrence. Don't forget the weapons that he has, the newly acquired Calvin Ridley. They traded for him, and Ridley is a phenomenal talent. He is the best wide receiver that Trevor Lawrence has had in his career by far. Very good at all three levels of the field, can go up and catch it, very good route runner, and I don't think it really matters what scheme you put Calvin Ridley in. He think he's going to play well regardless, and especially in a scheme with Doug Peterson where he is really good at getting the best out of players with their specific skill sets. Evan Ingram had a career year. Look at Christian Kirk having the best year he ever did. Really brought out a ton of great play, and players that we were kind of questioning brought the best out of them and made them look like they were very good players, very dynamic, and they were last year. And having all those guys in for a second year, having Calvin Ridley come into the mix of things. You have Calvin Ridley, you have Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Jamal Agnew, and don't forget you have Tank Bigsby and Travis Etienne coming on the backfield. Etienne very dynamic last year, just in general. Trevor Lawrence has all the weapons in the world, and you may say, the offensive line may not be the best, but it's good enough. And the Jaguars throw the ball quick anyways. The way Doug Peterson runs his offense is he likes to get guys open quick. He likes quick throws, the motions, the bunches. He likes all that kind of stuff to get these receivers open quick. And Trevor Lawrence likes to throw the ball quick. It's literally a perfect fit, and it's a great fit. And this Jaguars offense should have absolutely no problem driving the ball up and down this field like it's a warm knife going through butter. I mean, let's be honest, this Colts defense, definitely in the passing department of it, is not going to be very good. As I said, we have Julius Brents, can be good, but you can't expect him to come out right away and play really good. He's probably going to be covering Calvin Ridley. DeLis Flowers probably going to have a few reps on him, might not be good. And then you have Christian Kirk, who had a really good year last year. Can he do it again this year? We see a lot of times players move to a different team, have a great breakout season, and then they don't really, come back to that form ever again. We'll see. I think it's a good offense. You have a very good quarterback. You have a very good head coach. So I don't see why Christian Kirk could not do what he did last year, even better, especially considering may have a little less volume because, Calvin Ridley and a few other guys in this offense, but I don't see why he would have a bad year, being effective, being efficient, and catching and get it open, just making big-time plays. And don't forget, Calvin Ridley likes to go up and just get the ball, and Trevor Lawrence has not really ever had that guy receiver. He's good at, Calvin Ridley's good on the outside, can just toss it up and, have one of these young cornerbacks commit a PI. And, can the Colts defensive line get some pressure early on? Can they get, interior pressure, which is one of the most difficult to deal with as a quarterback? How are the edge rushers going to be? I'm excited to see how Samson Ebukam's going to do. The guy we did sign this offseason, 3-year, $24 million contract from San Fran. He can be very good. He's, paired up with Buckner. You have very good interior, so you're not really going to be able to double-team him. Kind of be our unique Ngakoue from last year. I think he can get a lot of pressure, knock the quarterback down a few times. But like I said, the Jaguars don't necessarily need a good offensive line to be, or an elite offensive line to be a very good football team for this offense to hum. It's going to be, I think the offense is going to be fine, not going to have any issues, but hopefully this Colts defensive line can show up. Hopefully the Colts linebackers can show up, and maybe at the very least, get that running game under, wraps, keep Travis Etienne calm, not let him go wild, Tank Bigsby. And Dearness Johnson is actually a really good back as well. Don't forget about him. I thought he was a sneaky pickup. I'll tell you, man, this Jaguars offense is very good, and this Colts defense could really have a difficult time with this Jags offense. So you do have Rodney Thomas, who, you probably have Julian Blackman, Rodney Thomas, or some kind of safety, Kenny Moore, covering the tight end. We've always struggled against, very athletic, good tight ends. And when you have a system and a head coach like Doug Peterson, it might be rough with the tight end as well. But we do have good linebackers. Shaq Leonard will be back. He cleared concussion protocol. EJ Speed, Zaire Franklin. I like JoJo Doman. We have a lot of really good pieces on this defense. It's just a matter of fact of, could we get, a stop or two and maybe a turnover or two. I'm not sure if this defense will be able to stop a nosebleed, especially when playing Trevor Lawrence and just the kind of weapons that he has. But it also depends on what kind of Trevor Lawrence do we get. Do we get the Trevor Lawrence of the second half versus the Chargers? Or do we get him in the first half versus the Chargers from last year? In the first half, he was absolutely horrible. He threw, 3 interceptions, just not playing well, not seeing the field good and accurate, overthrowing things, just not being on target, not having anticipation, the offensive line getting to them. And I guess, when the other team has good cornerbacks and they can cover for a little longer, the Jacksonville Jaguars defense isn't great, you get pressure on them, you can struggle. But, could the Colts do that? They don't really have the cornerbacks to do that. Maybe they have the defensive line and can get pressure on him, but do they have the cornerbacks to be able to hold off the wide receivers long enough? I'm not sure. And we know Doug Peterson's a mastermind. He's very good, getting guys open quick, getting quick throws in there, and this young secondary can really struggle against that. And I'm not even a big fan of Gus Bradley's system, but, some of these guys are going to be in there for the second year, but a lot of these cornerbacks aren't. So, not a fan of Gus Bradley's system. Probably not going to play very well against the Jaguars. So probably be throwing a lot of short stuff, take a shot here and there, and not going to have much of an issue. So I know the Indianapolis Colts offense, and talking about the Jaguars defense a little bit as we're talking about the Colts offense. So there's not a lot of tape on this offense. That's probably one of the biggest wins that the Colts have coming into this game. They're at home, brand new era. There's no tape on the Shane Steichen and Anthony Richardson offense. I wouldn't say there's tape from the preseason. You don't really pay attention to preseason much, but there's tape you can watch from preseason to see who you may need to keep an eye out for more. Maybe you need to watch him, or put a little more effort on stopping him. Trying to find a weakness in that offensive line. Will Fries is probably the weakness. But how is the offensive line going to be able to hold? Are they going to give Anthony Richardson time to throw? How good are they going to be run blocking? I like Evan Hull and Deion Jackson, but they're no Jonathan Taylor. It would have been so much better if we had Jonathan Taylor, one of the best backs in the league, with Anthony Richardson, but we don't. And that means the running game is going to have to be very good. Deion Jackson, Evan Hull, someone's going to have to step up. I think Deion Jackson could have a very good football game. You have the Colts can the Colts offensive line be consistent? Can they, start strong? It's been very common, with Tony, with the new offensive line coach that they have. Hopefully they will be much better than who they had previously. Maybe Ryan Kelly can find consistency. Can Quentin Nelson play like he did before? How will Bernard Ryman look? I have really high hopes for Bernard Ryman. We got to see if the Jaguars can get some pressure on the edge, if they could stop the run. I think that's going to be a big key matchup to watch. It's week 1. It's early on the season. You don't have a lot of tape, and defenses aren't necessarily in shape yet. They don't play extensive snaps in preseason, and even in training camp or practices. This is when the players really get those extensive snaps, and they really get a lot more playing time than usual. So it could be and it's always very difficult for a defense early on, anyways. Not like I said, not much tape out, and they're not in shape. So maybe and the Jags defense isn't all that special. They have high potential. They have a lot of play. They do have playmakers all over the defense, but can they be consistent, and can they take the next step? I really like Tyson Campbell last year. You don't have Shaq Griffin anymore. I think they get rid of him. Let's check the Jaguars depth chart at cornerback really fast. I always just blank on the cornerback room. So the Jaguars depth chart, I want to see what they have at cornerback. So I know they signed someone. It's not Darius Williams, a former Los Angeles Rams cornerback, very good. You have Trey Herndon, who is okay. And safeties, you have Andre Sisco. I love Andre Sisco, very, very aggressive, and he does make some bad plays here and there, but he makes a lot of good plays. He's a ball hawk, good instincts. Rayshawn Jenkins, it's good enough for a strong safety, I think, in my opinion. But the linebackers, you had that big breakout year from Alukum last year. He was very good. Devin Lloyd wasn't very good last year, especially in that second game. The Colts were attacking him big time. And can the defensive line get pressure? Can the interior get pressure? That's my big question. How will Josh Allen play? Will Levon Chaseon be able to get some pressure? Wait, is he not even on the? Oh no, he's on the team. But then you have Trayvon Walker. Can he get some pressure? We really have some questions about the Jaguars defensive line. If Trayvon Walker can take the next step, good, because we'll see if how this Colts offensive line looks. I think it's going to be a big measuring stick. How are they going to do against stunts? Because last year they were very bad against stunts, didn't have much communication. But we'll see. I think the offensive line will do better, and especially having Anthony Richardson is going to force the defensive line and to be a little more disciplined. You can't just rush the quarterback and expect him not to go anywhere. No, Anthony Richardson can move. He doesn't have bricks for feet like a Matt Ryan or Phillip Rivers. Say Carson Wentz can move a little bit, but nothing like Anthony Richardson. And I'm really excited for AR. Really excited, to see how the offensive line will improve. But the next question I go into is, who's going to step up outside of Michael Pittman Jr.? Are we going to, can Jelani Wood step up? Can Alec Pierce step up? Alec Pierce did not have a good preseason. Hopefully he can come out and have a strong first week. Kylan Granson looked good in preseason. Alec Ogletree did it again. Andrew Ogletree has another year in the system. I know he was hurt last year, but they have some high hopes for him. He's had a good camp preseason. Will Mallory, excited to see him. Molly Cox is still on the roster. Interesting. Could block very well. Maybe he's like the mentor of the room since everyone else is very young. We'll see. But I ultimately think that this Colts offensive line will do a good job, and they'll be able to run the football. But at some point, Anthony Richardson's experience passing the football may catch up with him. I think the Colts should come out right away and take a deep shot. And if you especially if you get the ball first, come out right away, do a bit of play action and just take a deep shot right away. I think that would be a great idea for the Colts to do, because that's a good way to if it's completed as well. You're gonna get the adrenaline. Well, they're already gonna have adrenaline, but they're gonna get the boost, confident in the confidence, especially Anthony Richardson. You're gonna get the offense excited, get the stadium excited. I think it would be a great start to the game. Now, like I said, if the defense wasn't as bad as it was, I think the Colts would maybe have somewhat of a shot here in week 1. And they do. It's week 1. Never know what can happen. Crazy things happen. And the Colts are at home. Haven't lost to Jacksonville in over 5 years at home. But they haven't won a season opener in like 10 years now. So, and the Colts just usually play horrible in week 1. Now, it's a whole different era. Hopefully they have a whole different mindset. I don't think we've ever had a coach like Shane Steichen in quite some time. He's really going to get on the players. Really gives emotion. And I love that. But I think this offensive line is going to do a good job. Anthony Richardson is going to run for a lot of yards. I believe Deion Jackson and Evan Hull are going to play pretty well. But I could see a struggling passing the football, even though the Jaguars may not, they have decent corner. Tyson Campbell was very good last year. How is he going to do against Pittman? Who else is going to, who else is going to step up? Is Anthony Richardson going to be able to throw passes consistently? Now, I think this is going to be a very heavy RPO offense with, Anthony Richardson running a lot, having a lot of options to run, hand it off, or throw. And like I asked earlier, how much of the offense in a playbook will Jim Bob Cooter and Shane Steichen open up to AR? A lot of questions will be answered. And going into my prediction now, I think it's going to be a rough game. I think the Colts can put up some points. Maybe they could put up, in my prediction, in my prediction video in my weekly picks for week 1 for every single game, I think I had it like 38-17. But looking at it more, I think the Colts can score a couple more points, maybe 20-24. The problem with that is they're going to probably have to score 35, 40 plus points to beat the Jaguars for how bad the secondary is. If we get the second half Trevor Lawrence, in the last year's playoff game versus the Chargers, we don't have a shot. This defense probably will not get a stop unless we get an interception or someone fumbles. If we see the Trevor Lawrence from the first half last year of that playoff game versus the Chargers and he just doesn't play well, the Colts have a shot. You do have, Trevor Lawrence has been in the system for a couple of years. You do have Calvin Ridley. I don't see any reason why the Jaguars should lose this game. But we'll see. It's week 1. Defense is often more difficult versus, especially a running quarterback early on in the season. They're still trying to get in shape. But I think the Jaguars are going to win. Let's go 38-24. I think the Jaguars beat the Colts 38-24. I think the Colts should score a bit more points just because it's week 1. Not a lot of tape on this offense, so I can see the Colts definitely scoring quite a bit of points, but definitely not enough to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars because I'm not sure if Anthony Richardson can make that type of an impact and passing the football yet. Maybe he's got a shot against the Jaguars. If the offense line can give him time, receivers can get open, and AR can just put it on the receiver, get him the chance to get it, the offense could score a lot of points. But we'll see. But right now, I don't think the Colts really have. They do have a chance. You have a chance. It's any given Sunday for a reason. But I think the Jacksonville Jaguars come out of this one with the win. They start 1-0 and they get their 2023 campaign on a strong start. But it would be awesome to see Anthony Richardson, Shane Steichen in the new era just get the win, the upset against the Jaguars, a team we've notoriously struggled against. It would be big confidence boost for AR. It'd be awesome to see. It'd just be an awesome start to the era. But looking at the matchup, looking at Trevor Lawrence versus this defense, I think Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars are going to come out on top. So that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you for tuning in to the JDW Sports Talk Show. Where your fans welcome. If you enjoy this video, make sure to like, subscribe, put the post notification bell on so you don't miss any future videos. This is the JDW Sports Talk Show. Signing off.